Welcome to all young consumers. Today, we'll explore consumer protection law and the rights that are provided to consumers and businesses. One of many examples where the principles and concepts you are currently learning in other subjects inform government policy and how it is applied in territories in the Caribbean community and beyond. Consumer protection law is grounded in the belief that individuals have certain human rights, so it speaks to the human condition and how people should be treated in their everyday activities. Let's start by understanding where it all started. There has been international agreement since 1985 under the United Nations Guidelines for Consumer Protection of the key principles that sets out the main characteristics of effective consumer protection legislation, enforcement institutions, and redress systems to protect consumers. Furthermore, the UNGCP assists interested United Nations member states in formulating and enforcing domestic and regional laws, rules, and regulations that are suitable to their individual economic, social, and environmental circumstances. The UNGCP also help promote international enforcement cooperation among member states and encourage the sharing of experiences in consumer protection. The UNGCP was last amended by the General Assembly of the United Nations in Resolution 7186 of December 22, 2015. Next up, the consumer protection in the Caribbean community. In the Caribbean community, member states gave a commitment under Chapter 8 of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas in 2001 to establish national institutions and laws that provide for the enforcement of consumer rights in each country. Consumer laws are there to ensure that businesses operating in the community do not take advantage of consumers by reducing consumers' ability to choose, get critical information, seek compensation, what we also call redress, or compromise their health and safety in pursuit of profit. Now, we should speak about specific community decisions and actions taken to support consumers. In 2012, two major decisions were taken by member states. A. Approved the Strategic Plan for Consumer Protection 2012 to 2016, and B. Approval given for the establishment of the CARICOM Rapid Exchange System for Dangerous Non-Food Consumer Goods, CAREX, to protect consumers from dangerous goods being sold in the community through sharing information with each other. This was launched in 2016 and is currently being revamped to modernize to upgrade to a cloud-based system. In 2016, the CARICOM Model Consumer Protection Bill that spells out the expected minimal elements of a national consumer law framework in each member states was approved. The model bill includes provisions that can deal with electronic or distance transactions by consumers. This is really important given the increased use of online shopping across borders through companies like Amazon, Google, Apple, Facebook, and eBay. Understanding the history and decisions taken in the region provides a context for speaking about the basic rights given to consumers by member states that focus on ensuring the creation of a single market and economy benefits each and every person in a positive way. This is achieved through ensuring you, the consumer, get the best deals and choices for goods and services offered by national and regional businesses in the community. When all member states have consumer protection law and institutions to protect consumers, the environment for consumers gets better year after year, and businesses are required to meet higher standards of business conduct. What are the basic rights that apply to consumers and businesses under the community consumer protection provisions that are required to be given effect through enactment of national consumer protection law in each member state? For a consumer, these 8 basic rights apply equally to the purchase of a good, such as a cell phone, or a service such as having your hair styled. These are right to be informed, right to safety, right to redress, right to choose, right to consumer education, right to be heard, right to satisfaction of basic needs, right to healthy environment. Consumer protection law aims to promote fair and healthy business conduct in the marketplace. It seeks to make illegal, deceptive, or unfair business practices, such as misleading advertisement. The Model Consumer Protection Bill provides for the promotion and protection of consumer rights and interests in relation to the supply of goods and the provision of services. To ensure the protection of life, health, and safety of consumers. To establish a Consumer Affairs Commission. In the region, not all member states have updated their legal and institutional framework for consumer protection. Those member states with more developed consumer protection frameworks include Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. There are national differences as can be seen with those that have modern laws but not the institution to enforce the law. In the countries identified, modern consumer protection law is new and has only been enacted in the last 3 years. These members are in the process of building out their institutional capacity to enforce. The purpose of consumer protection law is to enhance the welfare of consumers and protect the interests of sellers by establishing rules and processes for managing the relationship between buyers and sellers in a marketplace. There are some key terms that we need to define before we move forward. If we don't know what certain terms mean, then you won't be able to appreciate and understand the practical benefits of consumer protection law as a consumer or business. These are important in determining how and in what way consumer authorities can take action against unfair business practices. And here's why they matter so much. A consumer is a person who acquires a good or a service through a sale agreement. A user of the good or service can also be a consumer when the actual owner has consented to its use. The term consumer, however, usually does not refer to a person who buys for a commercial reason, such as resale. And then, each and every one of you students. A service can include provision of electrical services, internet streaming of videos, but does not include free services or services under an employment contract. Goods includes all types of property other than real or immovable property, securities, money, or chose in action. Supplier. This includes a person who sells goods or services, provides a service, who is responsible for the provision of goods or services including a manufacturer, producer, distributor or agent, or operates a business. Consumer protection is not something that is just theoretical that you learn in your CSEC or CAPE subjects in a classroom. It is about how the concepts are applied under the national laws of a country. It is about how young consumers like yourself can make use of the right and protections available when shopping. Learning about consumer protection also provides an opportunity for students to advocate for their existing rights, and if modern consumer protection law does not currently exist in their countries, to be an advocate for its introduction. In the CSME, there are also member states that also have specialist institutions that enforce some elements of consumer protection in specific industries. In public utilities like telecommunications, for examples in the OECS there are National Telecommunications Regulatory Commissions, the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, and Public Utilities Commissions in Belize and Guyana. In financial services there is the Financial Services Ombudsman in Trinidad and Tobago, Financial Services Commission in Barbados, and the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in the EECS member states. So, how do consumer authorities like those in the CSME enforce consumer protection law? It's like having referees on the field to make sure everyone plays by the rules. Let's break it down. First, national consumer protection authorities, like the Consumer Affairs Department in Antigua and Barbuda, constantly monitor the marketplace for any signs of unfair business conduct negatively impacting consumers like yourself, be it misleading advertisements where a sale may only have limited numbers of an item at a sale price, bait and switch where customer visits store for an item but instead another item is on sale or at the expected low price. This includes keeping an eye on newspapers, online content, and radio advertisements and commercials. Complaints and whistleblowers. Sometimes, they receive tips from concerned consumers or other businesses. Just like in school when you might report bad behavior, these complaints can trigger investigations of the companies identified. Gathering evidence. During an investigation, national consumer authorities collect data, documents, and interview key players in the marketplace including competing businesses and customers. The consumer authority, just like a detective on a TV show, is trying to build a case that allows them to make a decision on whether the rules have been broken under the law. Mediation. If the national consumer authorities find evidence of unfair business practices under the law, they can seek resolution through mediation between the parties. This is an important feature of consumer protection enforcement in countries with and without modern consumer protection laws. Mediation is cheaper and faster than going through the court system. It provides for a mutually agreed resolution to the dispute between buyer and seller. Legal action. If the national consumer authorities find evidence of unfair business practices, some can prohibit the offending companies from engaging in the business behavior, or they can take legal action to stop the behavior. This can include issuing orders to stop harmful practices, imposition of penalties such as refunds to consumers impacted by the behavior. Think of it like issuing penalties or red cards in a soccer game. Advocating for consumer protection. Consumer authorities also educate businesses and consumers about what is contained in the national consumer laws and other pieces of consumer legislation such as Sale of Goods Act, Hire Purchase Act, Consumer Guarantees Act, etc. They produce guidelines and information materials and support to help everyone understand and follow the rules of fair play through their websites, social media pages, and app. They deliver face-to-face presentations to student groups such as yourself. Ongoing oversight. Consumer authorities remain vigilant every day. There are thousands of transactions between buyers and sellers in person and online happening constantly. Consumer authorities keep watch to make sure everyone continues to be treated fairly. Consumer authorities address the individual consumer harm that results from unfair business practices. They ensure that individual consumers can get redress and are made whole and protect the community from bad businesses. They ensure that businesses follow the rules and consumers like you get the best deals and choices when shopping. So, there you have it. Your economics, home economics, social studies, and business studies aren't just academic exercises. They provide you with the knowledge to start understanding how unfair business conduct can impact your life every single day. Understanding that you are a consumer and that you have rights is the start of becoming an educated shopper who knows their rights, what the law says, how to engage with businesses, and how to get help from consumer authorities in resolving a dispute with a business. Remember, the language of consumer law is the language of rights and obligations, and you're well on your way to becoming fluent for life. Thanks for joining us on this journey to explore the fascinating connection between consumer law and everyday life. Keep studying, keep asking questions, and you'll be well prepared to shape the future of your communities for the better.